where House Majority Whip Tom Emmer joins us live from the Capitol Hill Rotunda. Representative, great to have you with us. So, as we mentioned, midnight is fast approaching here. Is there any chance that the U.S. government stays open past midnight tonight?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, thanks for having me, Katie. Romaine, good to be with you guys. First off, the House Republicans actually did the reasonable and responsible thing by passing a completely clean continuing resolution. It's about a 7-week resolution to November 21st, the purpose of which is to allow the Republicans and Democrats who are involved in a conference committee as we speak to finish their work on appropriations bills so we can start to move back towards a regular appropriations process. They believe they're close. This gives them a little time to finish those negotiations and see if they can wrap those up. In the meantime, what we sent is exactly what Democrats in the Senate supported just 6 months ago, Katie. And more importantly, it's the exact same thing that they voted on 13 times under the Biden administration. I'm hopeful that they're going to come to their senses. When I say they, it's really Chuck Schumer in the Senate, and that he will keep the government open, because a shutdown does no one any good. And if he does choose to shut it down, it'll be the Chuck Schumer shutdown.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the Senate Democratic leader. He was just speaking to reporters a couple minutes ago. He says that the GOP has until midnight to, quote, get serious on health care. You think about some of the issues raised there. The Democrats, of course, have sought an extension of the health care subsidies and a reversal of the Medicaid funding cuts that were part of the president's tax legislation from earlier this year. What are the odds that the Republicans could budge, maybe give a little bit when it comes there, or at least have some sort of promise that those discussions will continue, even if we get something passed tonight?
I think they've already been told that the discussions are going to continue, but you got to keep the government open. And what Chuck Schumer says and what actually is the case, what he's asking for, are two completely different things. What he's asking for is another $1.5 trillion in spending. What he wants to use it for is to put 1.4 million illegal aliens back on taxpayer-funded health care. What he's asking for is $500 million for radical news outlets, support radical news outlets. What he's asking for is to cut $50 billion from rural health care. So when he's talking about we got to get serious about health care, I'm not sure where he's coming from. It sounds like he wants to give illegal aliens taxpayer-funded health care and cut rural Americans' health care. So really, the clean CR is the right thing to do. He knows it. Everyone in this town knows it. If he shuts the government down tonight, it is the Schumer shutdown, and he's the one who's going to bear responsibility.
Well, I mean, I understand that. But when we talk about, Representative, what a shutdown means, or at least the optics, I should say, for regular folks, I'm not talking about people like you and me who understand how Washington works. I mean, when you have to go back to your district in Minnesota, assuming that there is a shutdown, I mean, what is the message that you have for those folks who are not only maybe potentially out of a job, or at least have family members who are affected by this?
Yeah, call Chuck Schumer. My message is call Chuck Schumer. Tell him that this is not going to work for the 20 to 35,000 Minnesotans who are either federal employees or federal contractors. It's not going to work for families who rely on different federal programs. This is not the right thing to do, and Chuck Schumer knows that. He's acting purely based on political instincts rather than what's right for the American people. So I say, yes, I'm concerned. Call Chuck Schumer. Tell him, Chuck, don't shut the government down. Let's keep it open. Let's make sure that Republicans and Democrats can continue their work and get this government funded for the long term.
If we miss the deadline, there's been a lot of discussion, including from the president himself, about doing more than just temporary furloughs. I am curious as to what discussions you've had either with the president or with the OMB director, Russ Vought, about some of those threats to actually effectively permanently remove some workers should we actually reach a shutdown.
Well, I wouldn't disclose my conversations with either of those two, whether it's Russ Vought or, more importantly, the President of the United States. That's between us. But I would tell you this. If you want to avoid any of those furloughs or even beyond that has been discussed, do the right thing. Chuck Schumer should pass the Republican clean CR. It's not partisan. Again, it's something that Democrats have done 13 times before under Biden. Romaine, what's changed? Nothing's changed except the guy that's in the White House. So don't do it based on your like or dislike for the President of the United States. Do it because it's the right thing to do for the American people. And if you don't, they're the ones that are going to answer for it. Chuck Schumer and Democrats are going to answer for a shutdown.
Let's talk about the labor market more broadly here, because there's been a lot of discussion that should the government shut down, that when it comes to the Friday jobs report scheduled at 8:30 a.m., that the Bureau of Labor Statistics won't be able to actually release that data. You think about where the Federal Reserve is. They need that data to make policy. We know that this president would like to see interest rates lower. It's harder to make monetary policy when you don't actually have the economic data that you need. So, Representative, in your view, should the BLS get a carve out here so that they're able to remain operating?
I got to tell you, I love that you say the Federal Reserve needs to have data in order to make decisions. Jerome Powell has been months behind. He was too late dealing with interest rates under Joe Biden. I would presume it was political reasons that he delayed. And because of that, we ended up with 40-year high inflation. We hadn't seen it in 4 decades. Now, he should have lowered interest rates quarters ago, and he continues to delay. So trying to suggest that, statistics are going to make a difference in this case, there are more than enough jobs out there. If people are willing to work, they're going to find work.
Well, I mean, they still need the data, though. I mean, you know that, Representative. I mean, even as we're speaking right now, there are at least 2 Fed members addressing this issue publicly, including Austin Goolsbee, the Chicago Fed president, specifically talking about the potential of not having basically data going dark, if you will. And for a Fed that I think we all realized was kind of on this inflection point as to whether they continue cutting rates, I mean, the stakes for this are a little bit higher than maybe past shutdowns.
Well, that's good, Romaine. You can focus on government data. There's plenty of private economic data out there that can be relied on. And frankly, maybe they should have been relying on that private economic data for months now and bringing interest rates down instead of delaying, as Jerome Powell has done. So, look, if there is a government shutdown, if you're that worried about the government data, then tell Chuck Schumer, keep the government open. That he has to do the right and responsible thing, just like House Republicans did. Mm-hmm. Make sure the government continues to operate if that's your concern.
Representative, do you have any sense here that you will actually see a number of Democrats actually break ranks and support this bill in the Senate?
If they don't, it's going to be on them. So I do. I think you got some senators from Maryland, some senators from New Jersey, Georgia, New York. You've got a lot of different senators, Democrat senators out there who their constituents will be impacted, and they're going to have to go home and explain to them, well, I had a chance to keep the government open, and I wasn't giving anything to Republicans. I was keeping it exactly the way it is, but I chose not to because Chuck Schumer was afraid of losing his job. Yeah. I think do the right thing, be responsible. I think we've got people in the Senate that will have a very difficult choice.
And just a quick final question here. Are you planning to stick around through the weekend? I mean, we have a holiday, a Jewish holiday coming up on Thursday, which I know could potentially disrupt congressional proceedings. What happens next?
Well, as far as the House is concerned, we've done our work. Okay. I mean, we sent a nonpartisan, clean CR. Our leadership is all here. Several members are in town. But as far as what we're going to do, it's up to Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate to make sure they keep the government open at 12:01 tomorrow morning. So we're waiting to see that. Hopefully that's what's going to happen, and then we can get on with the appropriations process. If Senator Schumer is dumb enough to close the government, it's going to be on the Democrats. It's going to be the Schumer shutdown.
All right, we have to leave it there. Really appreciate you taking time for us. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer there, who's been representing the 6th Congressional District in Minnesota for the past decade.